Call the council meeting of Village of Wolverine Lake for Wednesday, February 12th. And the pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Duff.
Here.
Jeremy.
Here.
Kazaki.
Here.
Claiborne. Here. McDutt.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here. Any additions, conditions? Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Roll call.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Kazaki.
Yes.
Claiborne. Yes. McDutt.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Correspondences. One from Workman about the charity program that they started participating in. We have two from Mr. Dale and Ventura. One regarding trespassing, one regarding snow plow. And just got marked update and ETV outage reports.
Motion to receive and file as presented.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Smith. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. First call to public. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items only.
Motion open. Second.
By Duff, second by Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good evening. My name is Hans Berntrop. I'm managing partner with Atkinson Gallery. I'm here to read you a letter my agenda back from me. And I'm here tonight to recommend the village general legal service and prosecution services together. It doesn't make sense. As you know, Jennifer Lowski served the village for 26 years and recently joined our firm as a counsel this fall. Keeping prosecutions with our firm is efficient and the right thing to do. It's efficient, it benefits both us and you all. Why? Because for one thing, for us, selfishly, it makes it easier to get a zoning issue, and there's an ordinance issue, things like that, we can work on it in-house. It's more efficient. That efficiency also translates to you all, because it saves time, it saves money. Not to mention, you also aren't paying for two attorneys to talk to each other. In our firm, when we work on a project, we don't bill for two attorneys, unless it's extremely unique situation, but almost never. We have the ability to provide you an outstanding prosecutor. John Coomer of our office has been prosecuting for years. He has glowing recommendations for every judge and every police officer he's ever worked with. So I'm not concerned about providing you good quality prosecutorial services. Jennifer and her predecessors have served the village of Wolverine, my understanding, since the 1950s. And they've done that with prosecutions and general services together. And it seems inefficient and nonsensical to split them now, at least in my opinion. I realize this isn't a time for Q&A, but I wanted to share my thoughts with you, and I will remain here for the meeting until that agenda item is passed, and should you want to ask any questions. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Dave Renwick, 685 Amenia. I'd like to welcome Aaron Laybourne to council. And Aaron, welcome back. You made it. And Jennifer, however this comes out, my opinion when I was on council with you was great. It still is. It always has been. It's your guys' choice, but you got the Cadillac right there. So, before I launch into my idiocy, I wanted to, I don't like ambushing people, and I'm not trying to ambush Mike. The intersection at Penny Lake and Wolverine Drive, the patch that was put across there is literally falling apart. I mean, it's a bump to run over. So this is probably the project that will never end, but bless you all for trying, and if somebody can see to that, that would be great. The reason I really came tonight, though, is last month the auditor was here, and there was I appreciate the vagueness with which I was described, but there was a comment made and asked about the excessiveness of the fund balance and this and that. And I'm just here to say that, of course, an auditor is going to tell you that it's not excessive. Auditors love money. For you to have money, that's a wonderful thing. But not for the people. The people need a balanced budget, a fair budget, one that is not excessive. And I would respectfully suggest that you asked the wrong person the last time. I would respectfully suggest that someone, preferably the administrator, contact the MML and include that paper that I sent to everyone on council. I'm sorry, Aaron, you were not included, but send that paper that shows what the excesses have been over the last, 14 years now. And ask the MML if they consider it excessive. They're the guys that you go to when you sue somebody. They're the guys that you go to for legal advice outside of your attorney. Ask the MML, because I truly believe they will not give you the answer that the auditor did. And in talking about this with an acquaintance, they asked if the village is aware of GASB 54, which I had never heard of before.
Yeah, GASB is all the governmental accounting regulations that we're held to, and we are up to date on all that. And Raina is she's the one who is our auditor of all of our GASB items.
So
we have many of them. That's just one of them.
So the village has a fund balance policy right now. I know this isn't question and answer, and I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. I'm sure we have a fund balance policy on.
I have never seen a fund balance policy, and a fund balance policy actually breaks it down. Apparently, I just found out about this 2 nights ago, but it breaks down your fund balance into 5 or 6 different categories, rather than 1 or 2, rather than, I can't even remember the words now, but right now we've got one that's restricted and one that's not. There's a general and a restricted fund, and no, there's 5 or 6 that you should have, and we don't. And we should not be collecting money and then figuring out what to do with it. We should be figuring out what money we need and collecting that money. So that's my point. And I will send along, like I said, I just figured this out last night, about 1 in the morning. Okay. Thank you.
Motion to close? Yes.
Second. Motion by Dove, second by Brian. Motion closed. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Move to our consent agenda.
Motion to approve as presented?
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Roll call.
Kazaki?
Yes.
Claiborne? Yes. McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Board appointments, we don't have any. So now we're on to our presentations and Mr. Powell.
Yes, thank you, Council. I do want to thank Mr. Renwick because he did point out something that I have been dealing with in my travels around the village. When I find some problems, I immediately take action as quickly as I can. I have a picture here, and I showed the council people here a picture of the intersection that Mr. Renwick was concerned about. And my immediate response was to contact the contractor responsible for that. Because in the village, we hold the contractor responsible for all the paving up to a year in advance or up to a year afterwards. And this is a quality contractor, so Mr. Harold Sarter said, I've got it. That will be fixed at no charge this spring. So I wanted council to know that that will be taken care of this spring. And as I've represented to council before, all the monies that are being held from our major paving program last year, I will be reviewing all of the roads and calling to attention any parts that need to be repaired by that contractor as well, and those will be taken care of this spring as well. So wanted to assure the council that we're on top of that. The only other item, because it's a slow winter, is that I wanted to bring you up to date on the Clara Miller Park Cycling Challenge area. This last Monday, I called Mr. Mark Russo, who had said that he was going to maintain his equipment and do that this spring. When I called him on Monday, he said, Mike, I forgot to call you. He was given an offer on his equipment and he sold it all. So he told me that he is not available this spring to do that. Not wanting to be dependent on just one person, however, this is a list of all the contractors we've sent that request to. It's 19 contractors, one of which we received a price back already, 5 of which have called me with questions. Some of them, it's too small a project for them, but I have the one quote. Let me back up just a little bit. Mark Russo had estimated that project at somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 to do. Superior, I got to be a little bit careful here. Their quote was in that ballpark, so he had quoted it properly, and so I wanted to make sure that council knew that we're looking to have more quotes for you. None of them wanted to do it in the wintertime. So they were all looking to get out there in spring, move equipment there before frost laws are off. But I'm hoping to end up with 4 or 5 more quotes. But that's the latest and greatest of what's going on in the village. So unless you had more questions, I will yield the floor to the president.
Thank you. Any questions? A whole pile of material there just waiting to be moved around.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Have no public hearings, so new business. There are administrative committee recommendations.
Council, we have 3 recommendations tonight for you to consider from the administrative committee. The committee, as it's formed now, it's President Pro Tem Duff, Councilmember Newman, and Councilmember O'Brien. The first recommendation that comes forward, I guess indirectly, so to speak, has to do with the Citizen of the Year Award. As I've explained in my memo dated February 7th, when the committee reviewed the nominations that had been received for Citizen of the Year, there was a question in the committee's mind as to whether or not the one nominee, Fred Meisner, who is a member of the Memorial Committee, was actually eligible to be named as the Citizen of the Year because of the fact that he is on the Memorial Committee. So, based upon that issue at that time, there was basically a recommendation for Mr. Meisner not to be named Citizen of the Year, not because of anything he did or didn't do, but other than the fact that he is a member of the Veterans Memorial Committee. Mr. Duff, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, we just, again, felt like the Citizen of the Year shouldn't necessarily be named for either being a chairperson of a board or being because they're on a board. It should be something that they're actually doing to help the community as a whole. So it's kind of the way we thought it. So.
And then subsequent to that, I had a chance to do a little bit of homework, so to speak. And there is some precedent for a member of a board or committee to be named as the Citizen of the Year. As I indicated in the memo I put together for you, Lynn Lewis, who was the chair of the Parks and Recreation Board back in 2015, was named as the Citizen of the Year. In addition, Ron Kruger, who was named in 2011, was at the time a member of the Veterans Memorial Committee. Ron Kruger's name came up in the course of the conversation that we had at the administrative committee meeting that night, but none of us was certain whether Ron had actually been on the board or was just consulting with the board at that point in time. So, but as it turns out, based upon my review of the records, he was in fact on the Veterans Memorial Committee at the time that he was named Citizen of the Year. So there is a proposed resolution contained in the memo if that's the council's wish. Otherwise, the recommendation or the non-recommendation from the administrative committee, based upon their understanding, would stand.
Motion to name Fred Meisner, the 2024 Citizen of the Year.
Second. Motion by Jimmy, second by O'Brien. Roll call.
Rayborn?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremini?
Yes.
Kaznicki?
Yes.
Very good.
And,
You have a Citizen of the Year?
Yep, and I will reach out to Mr. Meisner and we'll make arrangements to, assuming he's available, to have him here at the March meeting so we can formally recognize him.
Number 2.
The second has to do with the prosecuting attorney services for the village. And just so everyone is clear, we're not talking about getting a new village attorney per se. Wasilowski and the firm that she's associated with right now, of counsel to right now, would continue to be the village attorney. What we're talking about now is whether or not, or which law firm would in fact serve as the village prosecuting attorney. The firm that had previously served as the village prosecuting attorney as such does not exist anymore and is not eligible to continue with those services. I had sent out requests for proposals to a number of area law firms, and the two that we received were from first the Atkinson Need firm that Mr. Runtrop is here on behalf of tonight, again with whom Ms. Wasilowski is currently of counsel, and the other is the law firm of Rosati Schultz, Chapik and Amps Buchler, which is located in Farmington Hills. Both are very good firms. Both would be capable of doing the work. The prior administrative committee, which was then President Nedrow, President Pro Tem Duff, and Councilman O'Brien, looked at the issue back in November, and their recommendation at that time was that the Rosati firm be awarded the contract. Given that the committee reformed, so to speak, with the seating of the new council, again, now it's Duff, Newman, and O'Brien. We took the issue back to the administrative committee last month, and the committee again comes back with the same recommendation to award the contract to the Rosati law firm. So, and Mr. Duff, I don't know if you want to add to that, or if council has any questions. I was part of the administrative committee meetings. Chief Sovic was also part of the administrative committee meetings. If you have any questions, we'd be able to try to answer those.
Chief, could you elaborate a little bit on your experience with the law firm?
Yes, with the secondary law firm, the prosecutor Chuck Snell. Worked with him for many years at the city of South Lyon for 30 years. He's very, very competent, represents not only just more than just our agencies, but other police departments. Very responsive, very personable. He's established great relationships with the judges here at 52-1, as well as other district courts, defense attorneys. He works very well with the court, the Second District Court. Comes highly recommended by Alex Black, the court administrator over there. And I just feel we should probably just continue to move forward with him. Several trials at the felony circuit court level, very successful, has a great reputation. And I've worked with him for many years when I was in South Lyon. He was the city's attorney, so no issues, no problems, very responsive, and if you need something, he gets back with you right away.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we approve a resolution to adopt Rosati as the prosecuting attorney services for the village of Warrenton.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Let's have a roll call.
Newman,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Girarmini,
Yes.
Kazmecki,
Yes.
Mayborn? Yes. McNutt?
Yes.
The third recommendation from the administrative committee has to do with compensation for the village's 2 administrative assistants. As I indicated in the memo that I prepared for you, last year, during the course of contract negotiations with the village's 2 bargaining units, we were able to reach agreements. The negotiating committee at that time had recommended that the non-union employees receive the same wage increases that the members of the 2 bargaining units were going to receive for the 25-26 fiscal year. In doing so, though, the negotiating committee recognized that the amount of compensation, the wages that were being paid to the 2 administrative assistants really were deficient, that they were out of whack in terms of what comparable employees in other communities were making, not consistent with the number of years of experience that both of them had with the village and the scope of their responsibilities here at the village on a day-to-day basis. Having said that, in recommending that the administrative assistants receive the same amount of compensation as of July of last year, the committee also recommended at that time that we take another look at the 2 employees' compensation at the end of the fiscal year. So that's what we did. I went and looked at the updated, the 24-25 wage and salary survey that's been prepared by the Michigan Municipal League, which it is a voluntary survey. Communities that are members of the league don't have to provide the data, but the trade-off is if you want to have access to the data, you have to provide it to them. So my position is that we've always participated. I've always provided the data because I think the data that I have received in return from the MML has been very important in terms of our negotiations and the way that we've treated our employees. So I went back over the wage and salary survey, put together some information about what other employees in other communities who have comparable titles and comparable responsibilities are currently being paid. I had emailed that in response to everybody in response to a request I received from Mr. Girarmini earlier in the week. In addition, there's a hard copy of the information that I put together at the table for everyone tonight. The reason I listed a number of different positions there is because what one person with one title in one community may do in another community could be very same or very different than what someone in another community with the very same job title does. So I covered a variety of positions. The one thing that struck me going through there is that for the most part, I mean, with maybe one or two outliers, our administrative assistants are among the lowest paid of all the employees that are listed. So the discussion we had at the administrative committee led to a resolution that the two administratives receive a 3% wage increase for this year going forward that is retroactive to January 1st of 2025. Then in addition, when the other contracts come up for review in the middle of the year, then I would expect that we'll take another look at their compensation going forward at that point in time as well. So, but at this point in time, the recommendation from the admin committee is that the administrative assistants get a 3% wage increase retroactive to January 1.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution put forth to change the administrative committee or administrative assistants to receive an additional 3% retroactive to January 1, 2025.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Newman.
I have a comment before we vote.
Question?
If I understand your chart, Dave, and I thank you, Mark, for asking for this and Dave for supplying it, they still are the lowest paid. And I don't think it's enough. I think it needs to be more than what you're proposing, more than 3%. And I'm not a mathematician, but just rounded it off, I would say, 24, not 23, 16 to 24. And then relook at it again in the summer. I mean, my goodness.
I would agree with Pam and also say, well, I just have a question. When was the last time that they had that pay increase? Is that an annual thing? Is it?
During the period of time that I've been here, so for the last 4 years, the administrative assistants have received an increase every July, the same as the members of the bargaining units have. So, and again, they received the 5% increase last July that all the members of the bargaining units did. They'll receive a 4% increase in the upcoming July, the same as the other members of the bargaining units are. What we're talking about now is something potentially above and beyond what the members of the bargaining units would. This would be the first time that we've addressed their compensation outside of the normal contract cycle, if you will.
So they did have an increase in July.
Yeah.
So this is the second one that we talked about at that time, because we recognize that, and so.
So that'd be a total of 7%.
This year or until last year plus
Since July.
So.
Yeah.
Since July.
Yes.
But it's still, if your numbers are right here, what that makes on a yearly basis, they are still quite a bit underpaid, and I still think it's not enough.
Well, that's partially because when you're starting from a lower base, any kind of a percentage increase is just not going to be as significant as a fixed number that would better reflect appropriate compensation. So when you're raising 7% off of, say, 20, as opposed to 7% off of 30, the 30 is going to look much larger because that 7% 30 is 21.21, but so it's going to be higher, or $2, and so it would be a significant increase in that sense. So since we are starting at a lower number, and since they were, as we're seeing, undercompensated relative to other municipalities, based on this data at least, it doesn't matter what percentage we necessarily do, because it's still going to lag as opposed to doing it in a more, as a whole number.
True, but you also have to understand that anything that we do, the other collective bargaining units are going to also be able to take and ask for it. It's a whole nother part.
Oh, I understand. But they're also a unionized entity carrying a pension and other things as well, and other significant benefits.
No argument there.
So in July, they'll be due for another 4, right?
Correct.
So there's 5, and then another 4 plus is 3 in the year's time. So that's why we had this one, because we recognized at that
Trying
time
to bring them
that
closer.
was. And so that's why it was,
So you're saying 3% now, 4% in
Yeah.
July, an additional 4% in July?
Yes.
But that's why we came up, because we did recognize where it was at. And we wanted to see if we could write it and correct it.
Well, and if it appears that the administrative assistants are still undercompensated, then we could take another look at it at the end of the year, basically as we're doing right now. I mean, again, they'll have an increase in July, assuming that council gives them the same things that all the bargaining unit employees get, which I would expect council will, because that's what we've traditionally done. But then if compensation is still an issue, then we could look at it again in a year's time as well. But whatever, I mean, if council wants to move forward with more than 3%, I'm certainly not going to object. I'm not going to argue against it. I mean, if you want to set it as a flat rate, you can do it. I mean, I see the work that the two employees do every day. And I think I've said this before, they make my job 1,000 times easier. They make me look good based upon the calls that they field and the information that they provide to people at the counter. And if one or both of them are away from their desk and someone comes up to the counter, I normally will get up and greet them just so they don't feel like they're being ignored. But I have no idea to take care of what the people need most of the time. I mean, if it wasn't for Paige and Tabitha, to be perfectly honest, the village operations would come to a screeching halt. So I'm not going to argue if you want to give them more.
If in June, we have the 4% increase, the top compensation there will be over 24.
Yes.
Just
Will be over 24.
at that point, yes.
Because I think that should be the minimum. I mean, when you sit here and you think that, flipping burgers at McDonald's is what, $15 an hour now?
Yeah, and I would just like to add that as someone who's worked at other municipalities, the things that Tab and Paige do, like if you walked through White Lake Township, for instance, you pass a building department that's got 3 people in it. You pass a treasurer's department that's got 2 clerks, not including the treasurer or the deputy, they've got 2 clerks in there. You walk to the assessing, you walk over to there's another office for zoning and planning. They can do every one of those jobs. They could go over the township and they could fit in any one of those jobs because they are skilled in all those areas.
So it sounds to me that all more reason that this isn't enough.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to vote no and have them not get a raise. I don't want to do that, but I definitely think they deserve more than what you're suggesting, or what the proposed is. The proposal is.
Point of order, call for the vote.
Any discussion?
Can't do anything in terms of this motion.
No discussion. All right, roll call.
McNutt? Oh, I'm sorry. Are we roll call?
Yeah.
McNutt?
I'm gonna say no on that one, because I think it should be more.
Newman?
No.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremini?
No.
Kaznecki?
No.
Mayborn?
No.
All right, so now, just need to make a motion with the new number, right?
Some kind of a positive motion,
So,
yes.
yes.
All right.
My gut feel is to at least start at 24 for the first one, and then maybe, it's 23 for the second one.
Does it need to be a percent?
Yeah, you get a percent.
Doesn't have to be a percent. It could be a flat figure.
Does anybody have any other thoughts? I don't want to make a motion and have to go through this again, let's just come up with a number. Right.
Well, just from a purely a mathematical standpoint, there's gonna be about $2 worth of separation after July. Well, we just nixed the 3%. So it was gonna be slightly more than 24 for the highest one, with about a $2 degree of separation with the 3 and the 4. So now the 3's gone, which, roughly about 70 cents on the highest one. I see an issue going to a flat dollar rate when you have people making different amounts.
I'm good with a percentage, Bill, it's just that I don't know what that percentage number would be.
Yeah.
It's more your ballpark, I'm just looking at it.
Well, to get the lowest person with a $2 disparity, to get the
Right.
lowest person to 24, you're gonna have to get the highest person to
Right.
consider,
But keep it,
consider higher. So you kind of have to decide. That's why I thought we were in a good spot, because they were gonna be, you know, relatively good, but, so, I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I don't know what it is that we're trying to accomplish.
5%? Instead of 3?
Jim, just as a point of reference, if you took the higher wage listed and you gave it a 6 2/3% wage increase, that would put it up at $23.97. That would almost be 24.
That's
Okay.
before the 4%, right?
Okay, thank you.
That's as it stands right now, that's correct.
Right, okay.
That's correct, yeah. They would take the current wage up to just under $24 an hour.
6 point what?
To a 6.6%
Okay,
wage increase.
all right. So I'll make a motion that the admins receive an increase in pay of 6.6%. We react effective January 1st of this year.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Kazanecki, by Claiborne for,
Claiborne was a second, yeah.
for an increase of which percentage?
6.6.
6.6. Have a roll call.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Kaznecki,
Yes,
Rayborn,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
I'd like to comment on the, in general, and when things go to the admin committee and when they don't. I feel like with a council of 7, having 3 people, then providing information to 4, it really should only be at times when, as a council of 7, we say we need to refer this to admin committee for more detail, more research, more due diligence, as opposed to like what we just saw today, where in 2 of these 3, we had, in the Citizen of the Year, we had a slightly disputed issue where if it had been brought before council in general, I could have told you that previous winners had been on boards. In fact, Monique McGee was also on the historical committee for the year that she won it. And then in this case with the admin committee, or with the administrative assistant compensation, we saw that there was a great deal more to discuss. And instead, we're operating without as much information as the 4 of us that were not on that committee because we weren't there for all those discussions. And so I think going forward, it would make more sense that rather than just having issues by default go to the administrative committee, council makes that determination as a whole that, yeah, we do need more time looked into it. We do need more information from somebody to put a little more time into that and to figure things out. Because at this point, it seems like it's a little messy and not quite getting the results that we need.
If I could maybe make a comment
Yes.
or a suggestion.
Yes.
We're planning, and I expect later on in this meeting, we're going to be setting a work session for the 26th, for 2 weeks from tonight. And one of the things that I have roughed out in terms of the discussion points for that meeting would be discussion about whether or not we need to have a policy in terms of board and committee membership. Based upon some feedback that I've gotten from individual council members since the December meeting when the board and committee appointments were made. So if that's something that is a general topic that council thinks would be appropriate for discussion at the work session in a couple of weeks, then specifically we could have discussion about what the council envisions the role of the administrative committee to be, and how matters end up before the administrative committee. I think what Mark is talking about is different. It has been done in the past, but that doesn't mean to say that it can't be done that way.
How is it all?
Is that the work session that's on February 26th?
Yes.
Correct.
The one that,
When you're
vacation?
going to be gone, yes. Sorry about that.
How is it currently decided what goes to the admin committee?
I think it's largely in my discretion. And that's based upon, I've just kind of gotten into routine as to what we route through based upon my understanding of what had historically been routed through the administrative committee by prior administrators.
Okay. So that can be a topic.
Yeah.
Sounds like-
Or we could talk about it at a different time if we want to have a full council for that discussion too. Either way. We could talk about it that night and we could talk about it another night. You don't have to, I mean, it's only going to be a work session. We're not going to have any motions or any action taken at that meeting anyway.
Well, I'm sure you guys will be fine without me. So there's no worry there.
I have a feeling you won't miss us either.
I will if I'm losing too much money in Vegas.
We'll have to go get them. So we can make it a topic, as a starting point for it,
Okay,
discuss it there.
I'll keep that on the list of talking points. Thank you.
Tiki candle purchase.
Okay,
That time of year.
I sent to the office, or I dropped off at the office, the information you have in your package. I had requested from the vendor we've had for the last, 10 or some odd years, for English Gardens, a quote for 10 cases. Last year we had 11. I asked for a quote this year for 10. Because we only had a little over 1 case left last year. And the way it had turned out, there weren't as many selling dates either last year. And I know the village ran out of tiki candles early on. So anyway, so I asked for 10 cases. And every year, the amount per candle goes up. And it went up quite a bit, I think, this year. You know, to $5.79 a candle, or a torch, he calls it torches. So last year, when we sold them for $5, we did sell them at a loss. Because they were $5.29. So, you know, they've gone up 50 cents, just rounded up, you know, per candle for this year. So I still think that, in my opinion, the 10 cases is a good number. It was the lowest amount of candles, the torches we had left over that we have in several years. But now, my biggest concern is, or direction, I'd like some direction from everybody else, is what should we sell them at? I don't want to get down to nickels and pennies. In fact, we're not going to have pennies anymore, as I heard last night on TV. So, and make it easy from a seller standpoint of view, round it up and at least into a quarter. You know, so if we purchase them for $5.79. We can sell them for $5.25, $5.50, or $5.75, and even at that, you know, everything is a loss. But at $5.75, it's only 4-cent loss. So I'm open for discussion, direction, thoughts. I have looked at other candles. In fact, we did look at Menards last year. I almost went there, but those candles were thinner. They weren't as heavy, and there wasn't as much wax there, so they would have burned out even a lot sooner. And then we had to get them individually from different locations. I couldn't just buy them from one location like I can from English Gardens. And then, you know, it had to be delivered here, so, you know, one delivery here, Yep.
I think it comes down to the quantities that people are gonna buy so that you're not dealing with change. You know, if it's gonna be, in groups of 2, then 550. If it's in groups of 4, like if everybody buys 4, 8, or 12, you can do the 575 because it'll come out to even dollars. You know, and if you do 550, you're on 240, you're only gonna lose $60. It's not really a material amount. So, I mean, it's just kind of a question, if you think people will buy in groups of 4, 4, 8, 12, without people doing 6 and 10, so you've gotta make change.
I've never had
Otherwise, I'd
anybody
just go
bought
the
one.
550 route and be good.
Let's see, most of them are 4, 5.
Yeah, I do the 550, so that way it'll encourage people to buy 2, so they don't have to dig in their pocket for quarters.
Yeah.
My thought would be, I don't know why, I guess I don't understand why we would sell it at a loss. If we sell it for $6 in this case, we could put any additional money we would have towards purchasing candles next year and look at the cost next year. But I don't know why we'd be subsidizing lakefront homeowners to buy candles.
Well, it's never been a money-making thing for one
Sure,
thing. You know.
yeah.
It's been
The purpose
a
was
convenience
not
for
make
those, you know.
Right. Which we wouldn't if we put it towards the purchase of next year. I'm just thinking that would take out any change. Just a nice flat number.
That's true too. I was
Just my
just
thought.
concerned from
Yeah.
$5, a whole dollar per candle additional for next year. That's a big jump. But I don't know.
I'm good either way.
Are there any other options, like solar, battery? Because I mean, you see
There are,
landscape
yeah.
lights that look
I'm
like
not gonna,
flames, but
people can go out and buy those, you know. I mean, I have looked at them. I've even looked at the citronella, you know, buying the oil ones, but my husband doesn't want to store in the garage. He doesn't want to have the oil in the garage. He just wants to buy them and toss them out on the floor in the garbage the next day. But I don't know what everybody else feels about it, so. Yeah, I mean, I could do some research. I don't know, but I don't want to be selling a whole bunch of different options.
Right, no.
You know, but that is an option. I know, Dave, you mentioned you had some kind of a solar thing that you guys were using.
Yeah, our next door neighbor's got some. And they have them out all year round, in fact. And my wife liked them so much that she found some online. And that's what we have now too, so. We put ours away in the winter. But those were considerably more than what we're talking about here in terms of purchase price too.
but it lasts longer.
Hopefully, yes.
Multi-year, right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we've had them for a couple of years, that's true.
So I think that's where the dilemma comes, because as price goes up, people are going to buy less anyway and go out and look for alternatives on their own.
I mean, I'd be just as happy not to sell them anymore, but it's, the whole idea is just to light up the lake, and it looks so beautiful on the 3rd. And it's interesting to see pockets of where nobody is doing it, and then you see a whole stretch where all kinds of candles. And so, like I said, it's not a money-making thing to do. It's just for aesthetics, make it easy. So, whatever anybody wants to do is fine with me.
What would you like to do?
Could buy someone.
I mean, 550 or 6 works. I mean, I'm sure we're all good with either one. So, do you have a preference?
No, I don't. No, I guess I
let's
I
just
just
go
look for you guys,
550.
because sometimes you just can't see the forest for the trees, and I've tried to be objective in the numbers, and I know, every year when we over less, that's another reason, that's one of the reasons that I think it keeps going up, but also everything is just going up, so, but,
All right, well, I'll make a motion for, that we sell the candles at 550 apiece.
Second.
550?
Motion by Brian, second. Sell our tea candles at $5.50 a piece. Is that, get a motion for the purchase of them?
What's over then? Make a
Well, I
motion.
guess we do need a motion
Well,
to purchase
it
the
would be for
candles for
both, yes.
$1,389.60.
I'll change my motion to Make a motion to purchase 10 cases of tiki candles at a cost not to exceed $1,389.60 from English Gardens, and that we have a sell price on the candles of $5.50 each.
I'll second that.
Motion by Brian, second by Duff, to purchase our tiki candles. Roll call.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Gasnicki,
Yes,
Claiborne,
No.
McNutt,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
you know, I think what I will do though, is I think I will talk to Bob about the possibility of, if he has solar candles, you know, for next year, you know, see what other options he may have, you know, so that's a good thought.
I think it's getting to that point.
Hmm?
I think it's getting to that point.
It's getting
Where,
to
yeah.
that point,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, when I first started doing this from Joanne, I mean,
They're a bucket piece.
we probably had, I don't know, 25 cases. I don't remember off the top of my head. I have that information at home, but I mean, it's drastically reduced.
Yeah, I remember my father-in-law's garage is full of cases.
Oh, yeah.
Full.
Your son
Oh, yeah.
was selling them out on
Oh,
the
yeah.
boat.
It was, yeah. We run up and down in that garage pulling cases out of it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sold a lot.
So,
They were only $1.50 a piece. About.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, thank you.
So Pam, you'll follow up with Mr. Walker?
I will follow up with
Okay.
Mr. Walker. I'll copy you and Jennifer on my email. And I'll follow up later with other thoughts. I don't want to confuse the two right now.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Sullivan.
Okay, so you got a pretty extensive packet with information in front of you, some pictures. You know, when I met with these contractors, I was just looking for something, looking for something basic, something functional. We don't need high materials, but we need something that's fresh, that's clean, that's new, and more importantly, is the separation of the two spaces, you know. I think we were having issues before, but, you know, it's nice to have the male and the female separation of spaces, so, you know, we're not walking in on each other, and it's never been a problem, but, so, I think ServPro really understood what I was talking about. You know, the other two contractors were like, they were trying to see what their vision and show what their vision for this place was for me. And I'm like, I just needed someone to understand what I was looking for and keep it very simple and basic. And so the money has been budgeted for this, been approved. I just recommend that we go with ServPro. After we spend this money for the locker room project, we will still have money left over in the budget, barring any major contingencies, but I just think it's important for us to just have this uplift, a facelift, give them a fresh start, and I think that they deserve this and something they can, you know, take pride in, because if you've ever been in the locker room, it's kind of messy and kind of dirty, and so some things are outdated. One of the showers doesn't even work, and there's not even any fresh ventilation in either one. Like in both of these bathrooms here, the fans work, but it just goes in above the space. It doesn't actually go outside anywhere. So the initial quote was a little bit cheaper. Then we noticed that they hadn't put in there for the ventilation. So we're going to have ventilations in both of the showers in the men's and the women's locker room. So I just recommend going with ServPro because they really understood what we were looking for.
Make the motion that we go with your recommendation of ServPro, the amount of $25,459.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Newman. We have a roll call or discussion first. Discussion.
Here's a quick question. They are gonna run the vents outside, though, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, they would hope.
Just into Dave Gillum's office.
Keep them warm in the winter.
He's got a steam sauna part for that.
What's the plan for when construction's going on in there for the officers, and where are they gonna?
We are going to be moving all of our lockers into this area here.
Okay.
And this locker room is plenty big enough until, it's going to take them 4 to 5 weeks once they start demolition, but they're ready to get going on it whenever we're ready.
45 minutes.
I liked their quote. I thought it was nicely detailed and
Yeah.
easy to follow.
Any other discussion? Or motion second? All right. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Gasnicki,
Yes,
Claiborne, yes, McNutt,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman.
G, Blue Cross Blue Shield renewal.
Council, this is a formal acceptance of a proposal that we received from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for renewal of the village's healthcare coverage for its employees for the upcoming fiscal year, actually starting as of February 1st of this month. As indicated in my memo, the percentage increase over the premium for our expiring coverage was 13.27%. We had hoped it would be less, but it could be more than it is. As I indicated in the memo, Herman Klingelhofer, our benefits rep, explained to me that essentially this increase negates the savings that we realized when we switched from the Blue Cross HMO to the BCN PPO last year. But keeping that in mind though too, if we had stayed with the HMO last year, then the increase this year would be significantly more. So I talked a little bit with Herman about the idea of possibly going out and getting other quotes again. You recall that we did that last year, and the change that we made to the BCN HMO was by far the best proposal that we received. And based upon what he has seen from other clients and in other markets, he just didn't think it would be worth it to go back out again for quotes again this quickly.
Are you happy with what you're getting from them? Quality of care?
I mean, we had some hiccups in terms of the transition originally, but that's always going to happen. But I mean, I think by and large, the employees seem to be very happy. I mean, if you measure how happy people are based upon the number of complaints, we really don't get many complaints. So I think this is the best that we can do for our employees at this point in time. And as we go forward, we'll continue to look at other options when we think it's appropriate.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resolution as presented.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremini. Let's have a roll call, please.
Gasnecki?
Yes.
Laybourne?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yeah.
Jeremini?
Yes.
Okay. 13.27% increase. All right, second call to public. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the council regarding any village business. We have a motion to open.
I'll make a motion to open with the caveat, I would like to know when, the year in which this happened.
Second.
Wait, Mr. Laybourne, just a second, we haven't opened up yet?
I'm sorry?
We haven't opened up yet?
Oh, I'm
So just a
sorry.
second.
Can you turn up the volume on this and everything? I can't hear you guys out here.
Okay, I have no idea how to do that.
I think our AV guy is
Okay.
going with that.
Thanks, sir. Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Thank you.
Again, with the caveat that we understand what year this actually took place.
Wait till the volume. All right, we have a motion by Mr. Duff and second by Mr. Newman, with the caveat was when the presentation is done, just what year it took place. That's what the request is. The request was to just let council know what year this all took place for, that you're presenting. That's what council would like.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Okay. When the gentleman from Water Measure Board came in here and gave you folks analysis on the boat inventory, I was surprised as to how many new boats we got on the lake. And knowing what the capacity of the lake is, I did some research. And does anybody know where we're getting all these extra boats? The lake. Okay. Well, let's go and check, see where they're coming from. Hold on. This is the law the riparian law, if anybody wants to read it. I have a package for all of you. And basically, it's the right, the riparian owner, as to the water frontage and exposed bottom. Okay, so in other words, if somebody's gonna have a boat in this lake, they gotta have riparian rights. Now, you can still have waterfront and not have riparian rights, as I found out on Canal. So we gotta find out who's putting boats in that don't have riparian rights. Okay, so then I started looking around the one. Here's the park right here. These are all illegal boats. They got a notice from DEQ, there was a violation to have those boats there. The park owners also notified the police chief and the administrator, and they didn't do anything about it. So they're coming from the park. Here's another one. Here's a marina they built. Does anybody recognize this? Does anybody have a boat there? The reason being is they don't have riparian rights. In order to put your boats here, there's about 40-some people, or 30 or something like that, and they have to give you 100% of their consent to put a boat there. If you can't get 100%, you can't put a boat there. But we're popping little marinas, boats all over the place where they do not belong. Now, the thing about it is that, does anybody know how many acres it takes to have a safe lake per boat? You want to give me a guess? Is it 3, is it 10, or what? Okay, I did some math.
3 acres per boat.
We're around 3 acres per boat. A safe lake is around 8 acres. Part of our problem is we're a narrow lake. Okay, for an example, in front of my house is 700 feet wide there. You guys take out, 100 feet on each side, so you're down to 500. Now you gotta, if you put a dock or a dock on on top of that, then you gotta lower them. So in other words, you only have about 350 feet of the lake on one side to go down, and 350 feet on the other side. We're gonna have a very big accident coming. I've had taken photos, not photos, but videos of what's going on out there, and I invite any one of you folks to come on Saturday and Sunday and sit on patio and see what's going on. The council, the police department, has an obligation to make this lake safe. You're right when you asked about all those boats being there. All they have to do is contact the police. They'll find out who owns the land underneath, and it can make those people take that anchor up. But a lot of people don't know that, or they're lost. So let me show you what I did, and you can do it, take it, read it. If you folks are interested in having
Thank you. These are the riparian laws.
If you have any questions, I'd like to have a meeting. I don't care if I do it, you get a hold of a lawyer, or somewhere for T2 come in and educate the council, the water management board, and your police department. I asked the police chief to come over to the house. If he's in the neighborhood, he stopped. We spent an hour together, and I appreciated that, chief. That was helpful. And then I told him when I got this package together, I would come over to the office and I spent another hour with him going through this whole package to show him what the package is all about.
Point of order, Mr. President. Time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Laybourne. Anyone? One more time?
I'll start off with, I was heartened tonight by your standing up for the administrative people. That was beautiful. And everybody falling in with it. That is what this council is about. And that's what I wanted to say last month when a new person came on and an almost new person came back. But you guys are charged. You can't, your opinion matters, but you've got to think of the greater good, and that's what this council should be all about, should have been all about for years and years and years. My father, bless his heart, he used to say, "Why do you do the right thing?" And if he got no answer, he'd say, "Because it's the right thing to do." He said, "It might not be the easy thing, but it's the right thing to do." And that's what you guys did tonight. That was, I enjoyed sitting there watching that. That's what you did a few months ago when I brought up the vulgarity that came from the council table. And you actually recognized it, voted to change it. That's what you guys need to do, is don't do the easy thing. I know I keep harping on the garbage tax. That was the easy thing to do. It wasn't put to the people. It was just done. And that's not what you're here to do. You're here to represent the people, not yourselves. And that is I know it's a hard line to walk. I am not a big believer in sewers, but when I was on council, I was actually the one that put forth the idea of the Lakeside people doing a petition, the people that needed sewers, doing a petition. I didn't want them, but that's what you do. You got to do what's right. We've got one-bedroom houses in this village. We've got 6-bedroom houses in this village. There is no cookie cutter that works in every situation throughout this village. There just isn't. We've got people that work at flipping burgers, as you put it earlier, and we've got people who are executives. This is an eclectic village, and you guys need to sometimes dig in and represent everybody, not just small groups, not just what you think, but everybody. And I appreciate, I've been away from council for a while on doctor's orders. And since I've come back, I have actually appreciated what you folks have done. Not everything, but I would say by and large, you guys are definitely on the right track. So thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Doesn't look like we have any other.
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Doug, second by Newman to close. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to F, closed session.
Motion to move into closed session immediately after agenda item 17.
Second.
Motion by Doug, second by Brian to move into closed session after agenda item 17. We don't need roll call.
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do? Roll call.
Goff,
Yes.
Jeremini,
Yes.
Hasnecki. Hasnecki,
I'm sorry.
yes. Claiborne?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Okay, so topics for our February 26, 2025 work session. Village goals.
Council, I guess the action that we're asking is to actually go ahead and formally set the work session. We would normally forego, but I would ask that we have the work session. Again, as in prior years, we'd use the meeting to talk about goals and objectives. The format that I would intend to follow is the one we've used the last couple of years, where I put together a list of talking points based upon the points that we had discussed the year before, showing whether or not we've made progress on those, and if we've made progress on those. And then in addition, any other points of discussion that I think are appropriate. Or I would ask that if there are other points of discussion that you think should be added as member of council, things that you think that we need to be talking about, to let me know. My intention would be to have a list of talking points that I would send out to everybody in final form a week from Friday. So between now and then, if there are things that you think we should be discussing, then let me know and we'll add those to the list. I shared a draft of the list with Mr. McNutt on Friday afternoon. And we're already about a page and a half, 2 pages long, I think, altogether. So,
Motion to set a February 26th work session.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Set our work session for the 26th. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Twice in 1 month.
and the thinking being too, that the things we talk about, the things that there appears to be consensus on as to what council thinks are important or priorities going forward, those are the things that Ms. Hanson and I will work with in terms of putting the budget together for the upcoming fiscal year. And again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, but the time frame is with the budget, then we'll get to work on that right away. I know Jennifer's already started working on it, but after the work session, we'll roll up our sleeves and start to work a little bit harder. We'll get the department heads involved in the process. And then the goal would be for us to have a draft of an agenda that we can share with you in May, with the ultimate goal of having the budget in final form that you can approve at your regular meeting in June. But again, anything you want to talk about on the 26th, let me know within the next week or so, and we'll make it so. No other pending business.
No
Thank
other
you.
pending business. Chief?
Okay. Well, I can personally attest to the fact, still identifying myself as the new guy, the importance of Tabitha and Paige. And Jen knows, and Dave and I'm in there almost every day. Tab, where do I find this? Where do I get this from? And I've never heard, I don't know. It's either, oh, it's right here, or she gets up and she pulls some binder out there that looks like it got ran over by a truck. And she's looking through things. They know exactly where everything's at in the thing. Is so important. And like Dave said, it just makes my life so much easier. So I appreciate them. They are worth their weight in gold. And so I was happy to see that. Didn't know that was going to be on the agenda tonight, but super pleased. I love working with those two ladies up front. So very good. Oh, you guys saw the letter for Officer Keller in the packet there. Just another example of just an outstanding contact that we have with our citizens and how important it is. I love hearing that feedback. Right now, we're just kind of in the thick of doing these qualified trainings that we need. In order to receive funds from the state, we have to have certain types of training, and we're we're just so thick in it right now, so we're sending a lot of people to training, different things, getting those requirements. So in order to receive certain funding from the state, we have to attend certain requirements, certain types of training, and we are doing that right now. So we're just about ready for our lean audit. Sergeant Marasco there, he's kind of heading that up, and it seems like we were just talking about this today, the last month, it's like it's been nonstop like work. There's so much more requirements, more security measures, more people to track down, more forms to track down, and bringing on our IT company. And so that has been a heck of a project, and we're looking forward to getting that over with on February 26th. So, and my final thing is snow, stay off the streets. Please don't park on there. We help our DPW clear that out as quickly as possible, and that's all I have for you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. The 14th is our last day for paying taxes, and the 28th of this month is the drop dead last day. The day after March 1st is when they're turned over to the county. So we have sent letters to anyone that hasn't paid their taxes, may have forgotten or whatever, and then we're calling. We're actually making phone calls now, this week and next week, calling people saying, were you aware of this? And, because, we do have some seniors in the village that some of them are getting, have different issues. They actually need a child to do stuff for them. So we're doing our best to get to the bottom of it for all these people so that their taxes don't get turned over to the county. So, and then we're gearing up for the new budget, and so we're starting all that process, and we're looking in good position for that. And I think that's it. Happy Valentine's Day, and look forward to seeing you guys next month.
Mr. Gill. Thank you, Mr. President. First, all of you observant people here up at the council table will note that we have a new face at the table. We're sitting with Tabitha at the recording secretary's table. Vicki Rody, who is a village resident, longtime village resident, has graciously agreed to step up and serve as our new recording secretary. So Vicki's going to be a familiar face. We're going to break her in by fire at our work session in a couple weeks. She'll be flying on her own that particular night. She'll also be covering the Zoning Board of Appeals meetings too. So again, glad to have Vicki with us. I'm confident that she's going to do a good job for us. In going through the packet tonight, some of you may have noticed there was no report from our code enforcement officer this month. He's been out sick for a little over a week right now, so we didn't have a report. But we'll have the report for the month of January and along with the report for February in the packet in March. So just a reminder to everyone, this coming Monday is President's Day, which we do recognize as a holiday. Here in the village hall will be closed. So we will not be here. The police department, of course, will be working. But the rest of us will not. Trash pickup, recycling pickup, everything that Priority does, that will not be affected. So we will have trash and recycling pickup as normal on Monday. That will not be affected, but the village hall will be closed. The only other comment I would make is to pick up on the chief's comment. Please keep your cars off the roads in terms of parking. Make it easier for the DPW to do your jobs. And everybody here in the village hall tonight, be careful going home tonight. It's going to be slippery. So, thank you.
There's an ordinance for winter months, right?
That's correct. Yep. If your car is parked on the street overnight, you will be ticketed and/or towed, as I understand. Correct?
We try not to tow. We're looking for compliance. If we have to wake you up, if it's that important, then we will. But we have people that like to write citations at night, so.
That's all I have. Yes. That's all.
All right, council comments. Let's start on the right side. Mr. Jimmy.
Welcome, Vicki. To enjoy some very entertaining and sometimes very boring conversations. So it'll be interesting. Big congratulations to Fred Meisner on winning our Citizen of the Year. I've worked with Fred on a lot of different things, not just Veterans Committee, And I've talked to other people about him, and they all say the same things about him, and it's nothing negative ever. It's always just complimenting him and grateful of his presence in their community and all the things he's done in his HOA and for the village as a whole. So I'm really happy to see him get this much-deserved honor. And I'd also like to congratulate John Ellsworth, who won the Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce 2024 First Responder of the Year. I had the pleasure of attending their annual black and white ball where John was the winner of that, and he even wore a tux, which was pretty neat to see. Talk about change of uniform kind of thing. But it was a very well-deserved honor for John, and it was good to see him. He was definitely looking very relaxed. And if anybody saw his photo on Facebook, he's in Florida. He's definitely doing
relaxed,
well.
yes.
And stay safe tonight, everybody. Thank you to our DPW who's going to be out there and our officers who are going to be out there despite the weather. And hopefully it'll be a quiet night for everybody.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Ditto.
Yep. Congratulations to Fred. Welcome, Vicki. And until our next meeting or until I see you again, I hope you all have a wonderful month and stay blessed.
Welcome, Vicki. Good to see you. Thanks for stepping up and taking on a role. Congratulations again to Fred, making this as another year. And did some good work tonight, so really happy about her outcome. So, thank you.
I attended the newly elected officials training with the MML League on January 23rd. Mike was in attendance as well. Thought it was a really great event. Appreciated the opportunity to be there. Pam and I joined the LEA board meeting today, another great meeting, and just in awe of all the work that they do for our community. So it's definitely well worth our time being there and being liaisons to that board. And then finally, welcome to Vicki. And then finally, Friday, February 14th, one of our elementary schools, Mary Helen Guest, is collecting returnable cans to support the rebuilding of a little food pantry that sits outside the school. So anyone that has any returnable cans, maybe from the Super Bowl laying around, if you want to drop it off out front, Mary Helen Guest, it would go to a great cause. Thank you.
Returnable cans, you're talking about?
Pop cans. Yeah.
Not glass?
Or glass.
Okay.
Yeah, anything with that 10 cent.
Okay. I was going to mention the LEA also. Mark your calendar. So far this year, the date is October 7th for the Taste of the Lakes fundraiser at Edgewood Golf Course. October 7th. Thank you all for the direction on the tiki candles. It was a good conversation. I really appreciate that. Welcome, Vicki. I hope you have a good time with us. And welcome back from vacation.
Thank you.
Mike. And I'm so excited about the women's locker room. I had Jessica, she was here just before the meeting, and I knocked on the door because she had walked in. I said, "Can I see?" Because the pictures are good, but it's different being in the physical surroundings, you know. So, man, that's way overdone. And that shower, she said, has not worked in years. That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. So I'm really, really happy that we're finally doing something and bringing it up to speed and that the showers would work. I asked her, I said, if it would work, would you use them? She says, oh, yeah. Yeah, so. Anyway, so happy Valentine's Day, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Congratulations, Fred, Citizen of the Year. Vicki, welcome. And happy Valentine's Day, but everybody be safe with the ice. It's been warm, it's been cold, so just be cautious. So, yeah.
Make a motion to close.
Nope.
We're going to move up into closed session.
Closed session. Yeah. Closed session. Yeah. We already had that motion.
So we want to move upstairs? Yeah.
That's so exciting. It's a lot of people. That's all I heard was English. Yeah.